Hey, you Stygian Dogs. It's May 22nd, and this marks the release of issue number 11 of Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. Titled The Age Unconquered Part 3, Call from the Depths, we rejoin Roberto de la Torre and Jim Zub in the telling of their grand story. Now, Zub had promised me that we'd see the bold introduction of a classic character in this issue, and I can't wait to see what he has in store for us and what the fan reaction might be. As usual, we'll take our thorough look at the book, but first, while you go out and buy it, let's recap last month's issue and then have a look at this month's covers. Waking from a dream of prophetic portent, King Kull finds himself freed from his maddening malaise. Kull releases Brule and Conan from their captivity, and the trio embark on a journey to the Atlantean coast and the village of the Sea Mountain tribe. The voyage is not without toil, suffering the strife of storms and sickness and the onslaught of ensorcelled sailors. In the end, the Volusians are victorious. Once again on land, Kull sets a feverish pace through the jungles, the path etched in his dreams. Kull and companions reach their destination, but the village and its inhabitants are no more. In place of the black spire of Kull's nightmare, a vast orifice of devastation, a screaming abyss. As for this month's covers, we get the following. Cover A, it's a great one from Alex Horley, and I love Richard Pace's cover B here. And finally, the quirky cover C from Sean Galloway. And without further ado, let's check out issue 11 of Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. And here we go. I'll flip through the book, present a few close-ups of panels. I'll try not to read too much verbatim, and I will outline the general plot and happenings. I want you to be curious and to grab your own copy. Seriously, buy these awesome comics. I want to give you a sense of how things look and to hopefully convey my excitement and a few summary thoughts. But be warned, if you want a pure reading experience, and I know you do, I would caution you about spoilers. There will be spoilers. If inclined, feel free to skip ahead to the conclusion. I'm going to make sure this one is spoiler-free. On the inside cover, we see an advertisement for John C. Hocking's Conan City of the Dead. This releases in June and contains the previously released Conan and the Emerald Lotus and the all-new sequel, Conan and the Living Plague. Opposite that, credits for the teams at Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics. On the next page, we open with the Numidian Chronicles, a summary of events thus far, and a map of the island of Atlantis. Conan lingers on Brule's question about the elusive wisdom Kosha had bestowed in issue number 9. The Elephantine aliens' words were clear, but their meaning was not. Speaking of time and Conan's place in the present past, Kosha declares that the Sumerian has been sent by someone with deific power for reasons unknown to this key juncture where the future can be made or unmade. Surprised at the thought that he is being used and that the Wise One can see so much, Conan questions his own fate, but it's knowledge beyond Kosha's own time and death, the limit of his physical form. Conan, currently free from these limits, must follow the winding path that ties his fate to Brisset and Brule, whether that be unto light's warm embrace or deep into the clutches of cold darkness. Conan the Barbarian, The Age Unconquered Part 3, Call from the Depths. Grim Jim Zub, writer. Ravaging Rob de la Torre, artist. Dangerous Diego Rodriguez, color artist. Rascally Richard Starkings and Comic Crafts Tyler Smith, lettering. Calamitous Chris Butera, editor. Merciless Matt Murray, contributing editor. Kull's expedition descends into the darkness, finding finely chiseled hallways and chambers from ages untold, pre-Atlantean magnificence, and Conan spies a carved image of a winged wise one, perhaps Kosha himself, and with it a remembered warning not to gaze beyond mortal means to solve the riddle of his words, lest his mind be shattered and a return to his own time an impossibility. The Wise One tells Conan that the riddles may not be answered and they will not see each other again until they meet in the tower, where his story ends. Conan is then dismissed, the track of his life and his fate as king hinted at. A barrier is reached. It is but a barrier to be breached, as Conan and company employ muscle and metal. And beyond the breach, a flicker of movement and guttural snarls. A subterranean horde surges forth to attack, and here we are treated to what we were denied in the last issue. One of Roberto de la Torre's wonderful 2-page spreads. Thick lines of ink and Diego Rodriguez's colors contrasting the light and dark, creating a sense of depth. Battle ensues against the horde, who'd been denied food and air. Conan commands that they stay in the light, Animalistic squeals and cries of pain echo throughout as the Royal Red Slayers struggle to survive. The Cimmerian brings brute force and blade to bear. The tide turns, yet a lover is lost. Another corpse on this cursed quest. Kull kneels, swearing that this sacrifice will not be in vain. A pact not made lightly. And another 2-page spread. And look at the fabulous use of colors here. We're certainly getting something pretty special in this issue. Kull, Brule, Conan, and but a single Slayer are all that remain, delving deeper still. Evidence of countless generations of inbred souls living and dying in the dark. With each step, Kull's intensity grows, as does the group's concern. An ancient sepulchre as old as Atlantis, a sarcophagus emblazoned with an evil, ancient eye. Brule's warning of caution raises the king's ire. Kull proceeds to open the tomb. And holy crap, the Atlantean sword. For an Atlantean king, a symbol of sovereign authority now and forevermore. Okay, so this was the surprise Jim Zub had hinted at. It'll be interesting to see what people think of it. I'd say nice move. Honestly, I let out a bit of an odd squeal upon seeing it. I think it's great. Warnings unheeded, a dark figure rises from the grave and claims the blade as his own. Kull's sovereign authority ends here, as the blade is thrust through his torso. A shockwave of death magic explodes. Conan's charge falters as his physical form frays, the tethers tying him to the Thurian age retreating, and the Spear Slayer meets his end. And so Tulsa Doom is reborn, set to rule all ages unconquered. The next issue, not to be missed, Terror Undreamed Of. Oh my goodness. There we have it, the penultimate issue of the first year of the series relaunch, ending with a climactic close. Kull and Brule defeated by the Atlantean sword in the hands of Tulsa Doom. Remarkable. Jim Zub had teased the return of a perhaps controversial character from Conan lore, and man, that it would be the Atlantean blade. What a shocker. Well done. Let the discussions begin. After that, an advertisement for the Savage Sword of Conan, which is so fantastic. Check out my reviews and pick up some copies for yourself. Turning the page, we're treated to the first of 2 essays from Jeffrey Shanks. The first one is titled The Real Tulsa Doom, Skull-Faced Sorcerer of the Thurian Age. Jeff lays out the history of the evil sorcerer, addressing James Earl Jones's legendary performance of the cinematic version of the Conan the Barbarian movie, Doom's first appearance in the Kull story The Cat and the Skull, and into the Marvel Comics. The original Doom, a powerful undead sorcerer with a skull-like head, was intended by Howard to be a recurring character, but the author found little success in his being published. The character was redeveloped over time and used as inspiration by fantasy writers like Clark Ashton Smith, Fritz Leiber, and Gardner F. Fox. Resurrected in the 60s and 70s, Tulsa Doom could be directly or indirectly considered the inspiration for others among the skull-headed sorcerer archetype, from Skeletor to Voldemort. Shanks' second essay is an excellent one. Titled No O Prince, it addresses a topic that I'd been hoping to touch upon myself. The Numidian Chronicles as it appeared in The Phoenix on the Sword, and how it morphed through time to be turned into the arguably correct singular O as the vocative. I thought that it might have been of Roy Thomas's doing, but Shanks lets us know that it was changed from OHO to the singular O by Sprague de Camp. The question of whether it was an error or not is explored, and Shanks points to Howard's use of it in his poetry to suggest that Howard's original use of OHO seems to be intentional. Shanks closes by saying, "While I can see the stylistic appeal of the archaic O construction, the teams at Titan and Heroic Signatures believe it is far more important to err on the side of honoring Howard's original intention, a decision I wholeheartedly agree with. Personally, I have no issue with Howard's original use. I think I would have maybe liked to have seen the singular O continue in the monthly series, if only as an homage to Roy Thomas and his use of it in the original comics, and the OHO used in the Savage Sword of Conan to honor the pulp magazine format in which the Phoenix on the Sword originally appeared. And yes, I know Weird Tales was not a comic book. Finally, I'd like to turn your attention to this essay from the Paris Review by Gabe Rivin, What Happened to O. It came to my attention as I'd been exploring this very topic, and I thought it was worth sharing. Check the link in the description. So, both great essays. Be sure to check them out. And if you have any questions I can pass on to Jeffrey Shanks, send them my way. We're slated for a chat next week. Following Jeffrey Shanks' essays, we get the covers gallery. And then on the back cover, an ad for the Funcom properties. After we spoke in April, Jim Zub had mentioned to me off recording that issue 11 would see the appearance of a classic character from Conan lore, and he thought that this might not be without some controversy. And just so we're clear here, Jim revealed nothing beyond that, other than his excitement for the issue and to see the fan response. Upon beginning the issue, the recapitulation of events with Ye Kosha had led me to believe that it would be this character, likely in a more dominant role, that Zub was hinting at. After all, the Elephantine Elder seems a likely candidate for one whose wisdom might serve to return Conan to his own timeline. Well, I hadn't expected this. What a choice. And I'll refrain from naming anything here lest I spoil things for people who bypass the read-through. I suppose that some may resist this introduction to the comic book. Personally, I think it was a pretty wild and gutsy choice to formalize it as part of Conan comic book canon. A choice that somehow makes all the instances of the Conan legend connected beyond just disparate hearsay. Now, not that it totally removes all of the concerns over its source material, but it does deepen the legend. A cynical position may be that its use, along with introducing more of the Howard pantheon of characters to comic book form, might be a business decision that helps to reestablish Howard's characters under Heroic Signature's license, especially as the original stories move towards the public domain in the United States. While I'm no expert in copyright law, this may be true. Though, as a proponent of capitalism, I can't really find fault in this. A discussion of the pros and cons of using the characters and concepts under license versus the public domain would be an interesting one to have. Perhaps under license we get a more curated approach to Howard's characters, ensuring a level of quality and/or consistency. It could be argued that this is stifling and not necessarily true. Maybe under public domain, we'd see an open-sourced fountain of creativity. And while I've enjoyed many of the stories published under the public domain, I do feel that they've missed out on a level of editing oversight that could have made the works great. This is a big discussion, and it'd be great to have a future episode where this could be more fully explored. But I think it's a discussion that need not involve the creative talent working on the comics from Heroic Signatures. I think the generous take is that as a creator, given the chance to play in this world and to have fun with it, who among us would decline the opportunity? Of course, it all comes down to the end result. Are readers entertained, and does it serve the story? In this case, Jim Zub has given us something surprising, something that deepens Conan's world, something that considers other Conan connections, lessening the consternation over inconsistencies in his legend. And yeah, I thought it was entertaining. I totally had a moment and I had to stop what I was doing to send Zub a quick message. I still can't fully believe that this was the choice he made. And I don't care. Controversy be damned. I thought it was freaking awesome. Month after month, it becomes difficult to think of new praise to heap upon Jim Zub and Roberto Torre and the rest of the team. I can only ask them to stay the course of greatness. No biggie, right? It's evident that Zub continues to have fun. Between this series and his story in Savage Sword number 2, he's giving us some of the most satisfying Conan in years. It feels like he's outdoing himself month after month, and this issue is yet another showcase of his creativity and his ability to surprise and entertain readers. The noted absence in the last issue of a 2-page spread from Roberto de la Torre was, as I surmise it may be, more than made up for in issue number 11. He's outdone himself, giving us 2 fantastic 2-pagers. It's just glorious. Diego Rodriguez's colors are something else here too. So deep, so lush, so vivid. They add so much depth. And Richard Starkings and Tyler Smith's letters continue to give the series its touch of perfection. The success of these books is all in the team, and the team remains so in the pocket. If this is what Heroic Signatures continues to offer us in its curation of Robert E. Howard's characters in comic book form, I remain all in. With the release of this issue, we have but one more to go to close out the first year of the series' relaunch. I'm eager to celebrate this moment and to see this arc's resolution, and to also welcome the return of Doug Braithwaite in issue 13 with a story arc that promises to be a bit of a breather from the Blackstone saga. A saga which will continue with the Savage Sword of Conan number 4 and the Battle of the Blackstone miniseries. There's so much good stuff in store. Thanks for watching, liking, heck, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts on the issue. What did you think of the appearance of that certain character? Have you any thoughts on the license versus public domain discussion? Keep an eye out for 2 really fun videos that I've almost completed, hopefully out in the next few days. Plus, I have a pretty special interview lined up that I think everyone will enjoy. And until next time, take it easy, you Stygian Dogs.